Hi, welcome back to my channel and to another review. In today's review I'm going to be talking about the Hot Toys Alita Battle Angel 1/6 scale figure. So this is a very interesting figure for me because when the film came out, Alita Battle Angel, I had no idea about the character, and I wasn't even going to watch the film, but something said to me, hey, you know what, man, go watch this film, go watch this film. So I went to the cinema and I watched the film and I ended up loving it, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, I went and watched it about 6 or 7 times in the cinema. Now, I'm a film fan anyway, so if there's a good film I will watch it a number of times, but that is by far the most times that I've ever watched any single film in the cinema in its initial run. Prior to that, I think the record for most viewed film in the cinema for me was Spider-Man 2 back in 2004. Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2. I watched that maybe 4 times. So if I see a film I love, I do tend to like to watch it a number of times in the cinema. And with Alita Battle Angel, I never got bored. You know, every time I watched the film I saw something new in it or got a deeper understanding of something in it. And then from there I started reading the manga by, is it Yukito Kishiro? I started reading the mangas, and I really enjoyed that too. But the funny thing is that as soon as I went to watch Alita Battle Angel the first time in the cinema, I immediately came away and thought, you know what, man, I want to get an Alita figure. So I jumped on the internet, went to search to see if any toy makers were going to be making a 6-inch scale figure line for this film, but sadly there was nothing. And I think part of the reason for that is because I think a lot of retailers got burnt on James Cameron's Avatar, and Alita Battle Angel was also produced by James Cameron, but directed, phone. Forgive me, that was annoying. But yeah, so I think a lot of retailers got burnt with James Cameron's Avatar figures. Those didn't do too well. And this film, Alita Battle Angel, was produced by James Cameron, but directed by Robert Rodriguez, who also done Sin City, which is another film I love, the first Sin City. But anyway, and also the comics, Sin City comics by Frank Miller, are awesome. But so I think a lot of retailers got burnt with the Avatar figures, so sadly there was no 6-inch figure line for Alita Battle Angel. However, I did find out that Hot Toys were producing a figure, so I immediately put a pre-order in as soon as literally a day or two after watching the film, because I loved the character so much. Something about her just resonated with me. And not only that, I also ordered the statue of Alita by Prime One Studios. So I ordered them around about the same time. And I waited, and this figure was delivered to me around last November. So I've got this figure here, and we're going to be talking about the 1/6 scale Alita. So here's the general box that you usually get when you buy a Hot Toys product. As you can see, it says Hot Toys down there, and this is the brown outer shipping box. No complaints here. It keeps the figure inside pretty well protected, as you can see, and there's not really much on it. It just says 1/6 figure Alita, and the same on the back, made in China. So let's take it out of the shipping box. And inside the shipping box, the figure arrives packaged in this awesome looking package here. I'm going to pan up. Now there's an interesting thing here. It comes in a plastic shipping bag, which is fine. I'm going to take it out of the bag in a moment. I'm just going to start with the top first. So let's take it out of the package so you can see a bit better. Now here's an interesting thing. Now in the promotional artwork for the film Alita Battle Angel, as you can see, she is wearing she's got the berserker body, which is what she gets towards the end of the second act of the film, but she also has the blood underneath her eyes in the war paint type manner. Now this type of image was used for the promotion of the film, but in the course of the film she doesn't actually have the blood under her eyes when she's wearing the berserker body in the film. However, in the comic, at around about this time in the comic where, I don't want to spoil the film for anybody, but when she's wearing the berserker body and towards the latter half of the film, for example, when she's with when she's with Hugo, she does indeed have this costume and the blood underneath her eyes. Now, the actual figure does not have the blood underneath the eyes, which is something I'm going to actually complain about, because I think this figure should have come with 2 heads. But I'll get into that a bit later when I'm actually talking about the figure. So yeah, this is how she looks on the package, but the box doesn't reflect this image, which is a bit strange. Nonetheless, it's a beautiful image of Alita, and as I'm going to scroll down, you can see she's got the Damascus Blade, and this is kind of like a really interesting reflection of light, as it's kind of like I don't know if you call it holographic, but the parts of a berserker body are reflecting the light and it gives a lot of colour, and also the Damascus Blade, which is really nice. Very, very nice packaging. Here it says Alita, Battle Angel, Hot Toys, Movie Masterpiece. See the movie masterpiece there, and Hot Toys over here. Now, it's got some really nice pattern work, which you probably can't see on the camera, but I think this pattern work is supposed to reflect... I'm not sure if this is supposed to reflect the detail pattern work on her first body, which is called the doll body. In the film, when she first wakes up, she's got that kind of white body. I'm not sure if this pattern work is supposed to represent that. But on the side, you can see the hand of the berserker body, and it says Alita 1/6 scale collectible. And on the right, something similar, her hand, which is a scene when she asks Hugo if it bothers her if she's not completely human. So that's kind of like a reference to that. And on the back of the box, you've got Alita's body and all the warnings, but it's very dark so you can't see it. But this is a really nice image there, which kind of references the manga somewhat. Kind of looks like one of the poses she'd have in the manga. So that's the box, and it's very nice, and no complaints here from me. What we're going to do is we're going to open up the box. Well, I've already opened the box and we're taking the figure out, but let me just demonstrate this. It's also got a flap where if you unlock the side, which is held together by a magnet, you can actually view the Alita figure in the box without taking her out. And you've got some information here which says cast and crew, which tells you who made this figure. So it says a head sculptor was So Young Lee, head painter was E. Lee and J.C. Hong, product designer Ray Lind. So if you're interested to know the artist who brought this figure to life, all the information is there on inside of the box. But that's enough about the packaging itself. What we're going to do is we're going to take the figure and have a good look at that. Okay, so here we have the figure out of the box, and it's a very, very, very beautiful figure, I must say. For the most part, I'm very happy that I've managed to acquire this. And as you can see here, she looks like she does in the film when she first receives the berserker body. And the amount of detail on this body is just absolutely breathtaking. Let me just demonstrate here. So the level of I'm using this stand just to stand her up for the moment, but let me take off the stand and we'll talk about the detailing in the body. So this is absolutely beautiful. I hope the light is capturing this well enough and that the camera can focus, but you've got all the detail where you can see that the berserker body, these holes here, which are very reminiscent to the manga, because she has those holes there. The body itself, you can see it's kind of like semi-organic. You can see where the muscles would intertwine. The detailing on the pads of her hands. Sorry, the light probably ain't picking it up too well, but just everything about this is spot on. Absolutely brilliant. And it's not often that you get a unique body with a Hot Toys figure, so I really appreciate the fact that they've actually taken the time to make this as accurate to the movie as possible. and she's got, you know, you can see her feet. So this is really great if you actually want to have a really close-up look of what the Berserker body would actually look like. Let me put this aside for a moment, because I've got some things which might help to convey some of the points I'm making. Put that there. So I'm really into art anyway. That's one of my I suppose you could say professions or interests. I've got this book here, which is the making of the motion picture Alita Battle Angel. As you can see, she's there. But the interesting thing is that if you take the slipcover off, it actually shows you what the Berserker body looks like up close. So you can see this is the side of her rib cage, I suppose, and this would be her arm. As you can see, you've got those little indents there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, just as you've got in the figure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 holes there. So they've really done their research in putting this figure together. So it's beautiful. You can see that side of the body there, and the other arm here, but you can get an in-depth close look at it. Now there's other pictures within this, obviously, of them conceptualizing how they were going to, how Alita was going to look, so on and so forth. You know, here's some of the conceptual looks that they were going for before they settled on the version that we actually saw in the finished film. And me, I love stuff like this. I mean, if there's a film that I like, usually I'll get the artwork making of, so it's not coming up on the camera, the artwork making of book. You know, there's After Her Fight with Grishka, you know, really beautiful stuff. But here's the more porcelain doll body, so that's interesting there. So when I do comparisons with how this figure turned out in light of the pre-production conceptual art, it really does line up beautifully with what we actually got in the finished film. Now, interestingly enough, I'll just say this, one of the reasons why I think I enjoyed the film so much and I watched it so many times is because it's a film which shows, the film's really about consequences. You know, it basically shows how one action can lead to a reaction which leads to another action, and then this situation arises out of that. Every situation that happens in this film is based upon cause and effect. So a character does this, and then a character does that, and then another character does that, which leads to a conclusion. So the whole film is basically about, I suppose you could say, karma and consequences, which is what the original manga was, two of the main themes of the original manga. Now, to illustrate the point that I was saying, this Alita doesn't have the blood as the war paint on her face, but in the original manga, around this time, when she's got the Berserker body, as you can see, she's got, where is it coming up there? There. See, she's got the blood under her eyes, and this is a common trait for the character, that she does that. So this is one of the reasons why I feel this figure should have had two heads. One normal, as we can see here, and another more angry face with the blood under the eyes, because I think that would have been appropriate, given the fact that, you know, the film production artwork showed her with the blood under her eyes, with the Berserker suit on, Berserker body on, but we didn't get that. But let's talk about what we did get. So we've got this beautiful figure here with the unique body, which I'm very grateful for. We get some boots, we get her top, we get her trousers, we get this tool to adjust her eyes, we also get a couple of different things which are very nice. We get the Damascus Blade here, we get some alternate hands. We've got, I'll just get them out and show them. We get some alternate hands. The hands we get are two open hands. One of them's already on the figure. I'll put them on the figure. One gesture hand, which is what I guess you'd be offering to Hugo when she gives him her hand. 2 fists. What would a battle angel be without some fists to fight with? She also has another gesture hand. She has 2 gestural hands here. She also comes with some extra foot pegs, which is advantageous. No, these are wrist pegs, forgive me, 2 extra wrist pegs. And she also comes with her heart. Here's her heart. Which is interesting because she isn't wearing this costume when she offers Hugo her heart. So it's an interesting choice that they included the heart with her. And while that's cool, I'd have much rather have got a different head with the blood under the eyes with an angry face. But hey, it is what it is. No, I can't complain too much. But then again, you can, because that makes me want to buy some of the third-party heads. Is it JK Toys? I know there's a Mr. Toys version, but I didn't really like her face on that. She looks a little bit like her eyes open a bit too wide. But there's another one that I just saw. Is it Jada Toys or JK Toys third-party head? Hopefully I'll be able to acquire that. And I'm also going to get the Daft Toys alternate costume for her, where she becomes a hunter warrior and confronts a pan. That costume looks pretty badass. But let's talk about her articulation. I also forgot to mention that she comes with her stand. And the stand actually has a few different parts to it. See, it says Alita here, Battle Angel. There's some brickwork, which is nice. But you've got this part which actually can detach the brick wall. Then you get this clear pipe, which is the bulk of the stand really. And you get this little clip peg to hold onto her. And that just slots into the groove there, and that holds all together very well. And it does help to support the figure, especially when she's in her berserker body mode. However, when she's in her costume, I'm a little bit apprehensive of using this clip around her waist because I don't want it to damage the soft, delicate material. But let's talk about the figure. As I've already said, she does look a lot like, I suppose you could say Rosa Salazar, or what they did to Rosa Salazar to make her look like this. However, I want to mention something actually. For those of you who may be into martial arts films or, you know, Hong Kong cinema, which is something that I'm into, I recently discovered an actress who bears an uncanny resemblance to Alita Battle Angel. What's her name? Is her name Cynthia Khan? I think her name's Cynthia Khan, and I was watching a film in the line of Duty 4, and basically I wouldn't be surprised if that woman was the primary foundation on which Yukito Kishiro based his Alita character on, because, you know, she's a martial arts legend, you could say, and she looks a lot like Alita in the comic books. Same shaped face and that wild black hair in a bob. I mean, on the final film Alita, her hair's a lot more flat, but in the comic or in the manga, her hair's a lot more puffed out. But she looks uncannily like that martial arts actress Cynthia Khan. And also even some of the situations that I saw in the film, actually you could say was shot for shot copied in the comic. For example, there's a situation where she's holding onto a lift shaft and she's holding a particular person, and, you know, the fabric that she's holding the person rips and the person falls, plummets to their death. And if you look at that scene and compare it to the manga or the actual film, you can see where you got the inspiration from that from. So yeah, I'd say if you're a fan of Alita, definitely check out some of Cynthia Khan's films. Really cool martial arts films. But anyway, let's talk about the figure. So she can look left and right, up, not too far up because her head easily disconnects from the ball peg, which is not a bad thing. It's because you're supposed to take the head off to put... Wait a minute. You don't actually have to take the head off to put the costume on, but the head comes off very easily. So maybe somewhere along the line they were planning an alternate head for this. I don't know. Either way, we didn't get it. For example, when this figure was first shown in prototype form, she had rooted hair. And I actually think rooted hair would suit Alita a lot more. There's some characters that it works on for 1/6 figures, and there's some characters it doesn't. But for Alita, her hair is a real part of her, especially in the manga. That's one of her most recognizable traits. and it kind of looks a bit flat and static here. It's not very dynamic the way it's sculpted. Maybe that's good because you can have her in neutral poses, but she's just like, this is her on a regular day. She doesn't really look like she's ready to fight anybody. It's just a very neutral looking Alita, which isn't bad, but that's one of the reasons why I want to get a third party head with the blood under the eyes, so you can mix it up a bit. So that's that. She can move at the shoulder all the way up. She has a butterfly joint there too, which is nice. Can go outwards laterally that far, so that's alright. She has an upper bicep cut there, which can rotate. She has a double jointed elbow, which is awesome. Get deep bend there. She's articulated at her wrists, so her hands can move around quite freely, which is very nice, rotation and pivot. She has her torso's in like 3 sections. You've got the upper body, the middle, and then that lower body here. She can rotate at the middle section there to turn her waist. She can also ab crunch forward a little bit, but not too far. She can ab crunch back further. She can arc her back further, which is good for poses, because if you remember in the film, when she first gets this body, she's quite nimble, like a gymnast doing some kind of aerobics, acrobatics. She can kick forward this far, good, fine. She can go back also as well, which is great again for that pose. I'll demonstrate it in a minute. Laterally, she can kick out sideways that far. She has upper thigh cut. Upper thigh cut. She has double jointed knees, so she can get deep bend. She can move at the ankles there, and she can pivot her feet when she's got her cybernetic feet on, but when the boots are on, she doesn't have as much range of motion in them, but that's fine. And she doesn't have, she does, she's got some toe articulation too, so that's great. Now, what I was just saying, you can recreate some poses from the film. For example, you know, when she first wakes up after receiving the berserker body, she's doing like stuff like this. You can actually, with this stand, you can recreate some of them poses. So you can do stuff like that. Let me move the camera down. So you can recreate the scene from the film when she first wakes up after receiving the berserker body quite easily, which is very nice. That's a really nice touch. Only trouble is her hair's defying gravity. You see what I mean? Which is why if she'd had rooted hair, it would have worked, I think, better for Alita. But you can do stuff like that, and it's nice because if you want to have fun posing her, you really can do a lot with her, which is great. Now, that's all good and well. Let's show her, like, just playing around. You can do a lot of really nice poses with her, even without the stand. You know, you can get her, if you can get her balance right, she can do action poses like that. Moving the camera down a bit. You know, so she's very dynamic. Really cool use of the uniquely sculpted body that she's got. Now, what we're going to talk about is how we're going to equip her with her accessories. So, first of all, let's start with her heart. No, let's start with her eyes. Let's show how her eyes work. So I'm not sure what they call this on the Hot Toys. She's not the first figure to have this function, and I'm guessing she won't be the last either. But she has a ability to reposition her eyes. So let's get this camera up. So here she is, looking in a normal expression. What you do is you gently lift the hair up, and you can take the hair off. If you gently move it outwards, you can actually take it off the head. Now, what I was hoping is that somehow, somewhere, someone along down the road would create a rooted hair part that you can actually just clip onto this figure. That would be great. I think somebody did make it, but I missed it. I missed my chance to purchase it. So again, that's why I want to get some alternate heads. But this is great because this actually looks like how she was found by Dr. Edo in the scrap heap at the start of the film, this actually does look similar. If her eyes were closed, I guess it would be perfect. But so around the back, as you can see, you've got you probably can't see because it's a bit dark, but there's 2 holes in there where you'd get this tool. You put it in and you can gently move the eyes around. It's a bit counterintuitive because when you move the eye, like if I move the eye to the left, it actually moves to the right. So it takes a bit of getting used to be able to move it. But once you do, you can actually have her looking in different directions with her eyes, which is nice. I'm not going to move it at the moment because it's kind of hard to reposition it if I do. But just to show you that function is there. If you want to have her looking to the left or to the right or down, you can do those types of things. So we're going to put her hair back on, and it's got a magnet in there in the top. If you can see, that magnet actually holds to the magnet that's supposed to be there. And I don't know if there is a magnet there. Let me just test that. No, that is correct. Yeah, the magnet actually slots into the slot and it holds onto her head. However, it's not very strong, so it doesn't really take much to actually take the hair off, which is a bit annoying if I'm honest. But the magnet, I actually think there's something missing here. There's an empty groove there, but the magnet doesn't really magnetize because the magnet's up here. Now if I put this screwdriver here, that sticks to it. You can hear that. Whereas if I put the screwdriver here, there's nothing happening. So I'm wondering if there's a bit missing there where she should have a bit of metal there to actually hold the hair onto the head more securely, because it literally just doesn't take anything for me to pop this off. So I'm wondering if there's something missing there. Either way, it's not too bad because I'm not going to be moving her around too much for that to be a problem. But yeah, actually no, maybe I don't know if I'm wrong or if I'm right, but it seems a bit more secure now. But still, it doesn't take much to actually lift the hair off. Bit like the G.I. Joe classified Lady J, actually, strangely enough. Anyway, so that's that. Let's talk about how you swap her wrists now. So her wrists are just like any other 1/6 scale figure. You literally just pull them off the peg, just very gently. So it comes off like that. Now you can put a different hand on there. We're going to go with the expressive hand, this one, and you literally just gently put it on the socket and it holds in place very nicely. And that can be posed around very easily. Obviously I'm very gentle with these types of pegs because I don't want to break them. But yeah, you can actually have her with alternate hands. I'm going to put the sword gripping hand back in because that's the one I want. There you go, see, it just pegs on like any other 1/6 figure. Now the next accessories are the heart. Let's start with the heart. So on her chest here, or I should say, yeah, her chest, between her breasts she has this little section here which you can actually lift up, and this is also magnetized. So you just gently lift that off, so it's magnetized there, and you've got some ports there. There's a few little holes. Now what you do is you'll take these wires which actually plug into these holes. So I'm just going to do this off camera because it's a little tricky to line up if the camera's on me too tight. But you gently put these little wires in the ports, like so. There's 3 of them, and you just got to line them up. Bear with me while I do this. For those of you who remember, Dr. Edo said that Alita's got a heart that's powerful enough to power Iron City for years, and she's a character that kind of wears her heart on her sleeve. So if you get it like that, you can have her holding her heart as if she's ready to offer it to Hugo. You know, I'd give you my heart, I'd do anything for you, she says. So that's kind of cool. But as I said, she doesn't actually do this wearing this costume that they gave us with this figure. She's wearing a different costume, but Still, it's a nice touch. However, I would have preferred head with the blood under the eyes. Nonetheless, that's cool if you want to do those kind of poses, although there's no Hugo figure in the Hot Toys line, so who are you going to give it to? Anyway, but it's cool. It's a nice accessory and it's well sculpted. You can really see the detail on her cybernetic heart, where she has the real blood and the cyber blood. The cyber blood is the blue and the real blood is the red. So yeah. So let's put that aside. We're going to reposition this on her chest, and that sticks in very well. The magnet there works very nicely. Now this brings me on to one of the problems that I've had with this figure, which I'm going to talk about. So when I got this figure, as I said, it was around November of 2020, and I'd already pre-ordered it like ages ago, but it arrived in November of 2020. And I had also ordered the Prime 1 Deluxe Alita statue, where she's wearing this suit, the same suit. I can't put it on camera at the moment because it's quite big, but she's wearing this same suit and she's got the berserker body. Now, because I have that statue, I thought to myself, well, since I've got the statue and she's wearing that costume, why don't I just display this figure with the berserker body without any clothes on, as that will give me two different looks for the character. Okay, all good and well, I did that. Now, a month or two ago, when I was changing up my display and, you know, cleaning some of my figures, I thought, you know what, let me try mixing up Alita's display a bit, and I'm going to put her in a costume. So, I took her costume out of the box, and as you can see, it's made of this very, very soft material here, which could be a problem over time because it's this fake leather stuff which tends to crack and peel and flake over time. But the trousers are fine for now because I've been using the 303 Protectant. I'll show you in a moment. But so what you've got to do to put these trousers on, first of all, you have to unpeg her robot feet, which is fine. You just unpeg them like that. They come out quite nicely, nice strong pegs there. Now what you do is you take this suit and you gently put her legs through the holes, and you just gently work it up the figure. So I'm going to do that now. I'm not going to rush this because you've got to be very gentle with these types of materials. So I'm just gently rolling it up the leg of the figure, just, you know, in small increments, because you don't want it to rip or tear by getting caught on any of the getting caught on the knees or any of the articulation points. So you just gently roll this up the leg. It's actually going on a lot easier than the first time I did it, and I think that's because I've been using the 303 Protectant, and you've got to be careful around the bottom area because there's some, it could get caught on some edges there. So you just gently, very gently work it up so you get enough slack to actually move it over the joints there without getting it caught. And, you know, you say your prayers and you hope for the best, you know. But yeah, that seems to be going on a lot easier than the first time because the material's a lot more malleable now, more flexible, because I've been treating it. And I'll show you what I've been doing once I get it fully suited up. So it's really around the hip area you've got to be very careful, because there's lots of places where this could get caught, such as here. It's actually underneath the thing there. So just gently roll it over. And again over here. And once more over there. So that's on now. So yeah, they fit very well. Yeah. Now what you do is you take these boots. These boots come in two parts. You can actually take the upper part of the boot off, and there's a bit of foam here to buffer it out, which is a bit cheap, I think. I don't know why they use this foam, but hey, it is what it is. So you put that over the boot, and then you peg the boot into the foot. So again, you don't want to get this caught, so make sure you roll the leg up a bit, the costume on the leg, roll it up so you've got clearance, and then you just gently put the boot in like that. So it's coming together very nicely. Now she has a pivot on the boot and some forward and back motion, so you do get some articulation in that. Same thing with the other leg. Roll that up gently, put the boot in, pegs in nicely, and gently just roll it back down. Oops, there we go. You've got to press it in to make sure the boot's actually in the socket, and that's her boots. And this does look very film accurate, which is great. At the climax of the film, she wears this costume. Now, the next part is where I had the problem, and I'll show you what the problem is. So if I just put her here for a moment to stand up. Right, so when I took the trouser part, that was all fine. But then I took the top out, and this is the top that it was packaged with. Came all nicely packaged and stuff, but what I found is when I went to attempt to put this on and zip it up, check this out. This is where the zip is, and it came with no, the bottom part of the zip is not there, it's just all frayed. Don't know if this is coming up on the camera very well, but this is all frayed. There's supposed to be a little clip where you put it into the, because it's actually a real zip. It's a real zip. See, you know, you plug that part in and then you pull this up the runner and it zips up. Well, it's actually impossible to do that with this top because it's faulty. There's no, I can't remember what you call them. The part, the plastic part which goes into the zip, then you pull the zip up. This is all frayed. There's nothing there, so you can't actually zip this top up. You can't do it. It's impossible. This is a faulty product, and that's how it came in the box. Now, the bad news is that I'd waited 6 months before I found that out, because when I got her, I kept her in the berserker mode. So immediately I contacted Sideshow Collectibles, and I told them the fault. I think I sent a photograph, and I asked if there's any that they could send, if they've got a spare one, or if they're going to be reproducing it at all. I got an email back, and the person said, oh, that's why we advise people to check all of the items in their product as soon as they receive it. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do because it's after 6 months, and we no longer have a warranty on it because it's after 6 months. So they basically said there's nothing they could do. So I was fucking furious, man, because I pre-ordered this item in good faith. I paid damn good money for it. I also paid damn good money for the Prime 1 statue, and they couldn't even not even like, okay, well, we're really sorry you received a faulty item. Here's a discount for 10% off of your next order. Nothing like that, just straight bullshit. And that really pissed me off. So with that in mind, I thought, well, what the hell am I going to do? Because I don't want to buy a whole new Alita figure just for this top. That's because these are expensive now, more than they were when they were first up for pre-order. And secondly, I can't really sell this figure because it's faulty. You know, if I sell this is faulty, so it's lost its value. So I thought, well, what the hell am I going to do? So I decided to just keep an eye on eBay and see if anybody was selling the parts, because sometimes, you know, people do that. They sell parts of Hot Toys, and I managed to find a seller who was selling this top, so I immediately bought it. But this cost me £50, 50, just for this top. But you know what? I had to bite that bullet because I love Alita so much, and I wanted Alita to be in my collection. What the hell else was I going to do? And this was the only one I could see anybody selling, so I immediately bought it up. So when I got it, I actually contacted the seller before to make sure it was in proper working order, and he was like, yeah, this one works and stuff. So as you can see, I don't know if you can see because it's kind of hard to see because it's black, this has the little clip that actually fits into the zip, so you can actually zip it up now. Now, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this one. I was thinking if I could find maybe a small zip, I might be able to repair it. But this thing's so delicate, I don't know how I'd do that. Because, and also I don't know where I'd be able to find 1/6 scale zips. So I've kept it, and maybe I'll be able to fix it at some point, I don't know. But at least I've got one that works now. So what we're going to do is we're going to put that on. And to do that, I think it's best to take for example, this type of hand, probably best to take it off. No, I don't need to. It's alright, it fits through the hole. I'm just very gentle because obviously I don't want to break this thing. So you put the arms gently through the holes, and then you feed it back, and it goes over her body like that. Now the next part is the tricky part, because you've actually got to line up this tiny little zip with this zipper. So I'm going to do that off camera. go. You got to be very gentle with it, so I'm just taking my time. So it's in, and then you gently zip it up. But the zipper itself is very, very small, so you've really got to have a delicate touch with it, like to pull it up, because you don't want to break this. But the handle that you're supposed to zip the zipper up is actually really, really small. I think it could have been bigger because, look man, for the most part it's grown men that are buying hot toys, and grown men have big hands, so it's a little fiddly. But I've got it done now. It's all zipped up. This is what I couldn't do with this top that was packaged with it. And you know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say fuck you, Hot Toys, man. And that's another reason of many as to why I don't think I'll be supporting Hot Toys products very much going forward, because, or Sideshow's products going forward, because as I've said in some of my other 1/6 scale reviews, I've had enough of them, man, because you get these figures and they're so damn delicate, and the customer service is piss poor, to be honest. Now, that being said, I do intend to buy some third-party stuff. Like, as I said, I want to get the alternate head for Alita, and I want to get the alternate costume for Alita. But I'm probably just going to buy a 1/6 scale body to put those on, rather than taking the parts off of this. I'll just buy a whole nother body, put the third-party head on it, and put the third-party costume on it, and call that another Alita. But yeah, she does look good. Like, she does look like the film. The costume does look like she is wearing in the later half of the film. Very, very nice indeed. Now, what I've been doing to try and help keep this in good condition is, as I mentioned in my Snake Eyes review, I've seen a lot of Hot Toys collectors swear by this stuff. It's called 303 Aerospace Protectant. Now what you do is you take a microfiber cloth like this, you squirt a little bit on the cloth, like that, and what you do is you gently and periodically just gently wipe the figure down on all the sensitive parts that are made out of this fake leather. And what this is supposed to do is it's supposed to stop the leather from drying out, because when it gets too dry, that's when it starts to crack and split. And once that, you know, cracking and splitting starts, that spells the end for your hot toy. Now that's really, really shitty, because as I said, you pay good money for these figures. You'd expect them to at least have some durability, to be able to, you know, and have some longevity. It's like you buy these figures and Hot Toys don't give a damn. As soon as they've got your money, they no longer give a shit. It's like, oh well, we've got your money now, and if the figure breaks, that's on you. Even though you may be using the figure as it was intended to be used. For example, I've seen a lot of collectors say that the stands that were supplied with their figures and they've used to display their figures with end up actually damaging the figure itself. What kind of madness is that? But anyway, and that's another reason why this stand that's with Alita, when I've got her in this costume, I don't actually want to have this clip resting on this costume, because it could potentially damage it. So what I do is I move it down and I gently just move it around the leg gently. So it's a bit loose, but it does support the figure when she's standing somewhat. So that's the workaround for that, which I'll show in a moment. But yeah, she does look good. I mean, I'm very happy with how she looks. The only question is, how long will she last? Now, as I said, some people swear by that Aerospace 303 Protectant, that, you know, it will save your figure's life, but you just never know with these things, man. You just never know. So let's get her with her final accessory, which is the Damascus Blade, which is again movie accurate, as I was comparing it to the concept art in the making of book. So it's honed to a monomolecular edge, so they say. Now, what I think would have been good for them to include with this Damascus Blade is a blue energy effect, because towards the end of the film, when Alita's using this blade, you know, her arm glows and you get the aura around the Damascus Blade. That would have been nice for them to have included that, but they didn't. But nonetheless, she can hold it very well. See, she can hold it very well. So that really does complete her look, except no blood around her eyes. You know, you can do the poses from the promotional images for the film, where she's holding the Damascus Blade like that. That looks great. You know, that looks really, really cool. But I really do look forward to getting those third-party heads, because those third-party heads would really complete the look, I think. In fact, I might put a third-party head on this and put this head on the other body with the suit with her that she's wearing when she enters the is it the Kansas bar where she fights Japan and all them. So I might swap the heads over, because she looks more neutral like this rather than, you know, super angry or super with her hair puffed out kind of thing. But yeah, that's that. And what we're going to do now is a few comparisons. If some of you have seen my other videos, you know what the comparisons generally look like. So we'll start with G.I. Joe Snake Eyes. Put them side by side. It's got to go up a bit for Snake Eyes to fit in. So as you can see, she scales well with male figures. That's roughly about how tall Alita should be. So she looks good alongside other male 1/6 scale figures. And I'm really happy with how that looks, because I think any toy collection should really reflect the taste of the person who's collecting it. And these two figures definitely represent my taste. Like, I grew up with G.I. Joe in the 1980s. Snake Eyes was one of my favourite characters. 2021, you know, I enjoy watching the film Alita Battle Angel. I enjoy reading the manga series. I haven't finished it yet, but it's quite a long series. But I've been enjoying it, you know. It does have its ups and downs. Some story arcs are better than others. But overall, it's a very interesting concept. And in fact, I'll say this. As much as I love the film, it didn't really portray Iron City as it should have been portrayed, because Iron City is really supposed to be a really grim and violent place where a lot of grisly things happen. And the film kind of toned it down quite considerably, in the sense that a lot of the violence was totally omitted, because the manga is extremely violent, and some really brutal things happen to some of the characters. And the way I would describe it is, like, as much as I love the film as we got it, I really wish it had been made more in the tone of, say, Paul Verhoeven's 1987 RoboCop, because that's more the tone that the film should have had in terms of its... That's more the tone that the manga has in terms of the level of the violence. And also, you know, you got all these crazy cyborgs running around the place. You know, in the manga, the Gruishka character, what's his name? Is in the manga, the Gruishka character is called Makaku, and he actually eats people's brains. You know, I mean, that was alluded to slightly in the film, but they kind of sanitized it. They glossed over it. But if you read the novelization of the film, it's alluded to that, you know, he eats people's brains to get the endorphins. But in the manga, it's just straight up raw, man. This character's literally, you know, busting people's heads and eating their brains and all kind of mad, funky ass shit like that. So the manga's much more in depth and much more gritty, and I'd use the word visceral. So yeah, it was a very strange choice that they took a lot of that out of the actual film, and they kind of made it like PG-13, you know, family friendly, accessible to everybody. And here's another thing, like, for example, in the film, when Alita wants to go to Zolom with Hugo, in the manga, she just goes on a killing spree, like hunting down all these, what do they call them? They're hunter warriors, so they hunt down these people with bounties on them. And she just, you know, she goes around killing people in order to finance the dream of going to Zolom with Hugo. Whereas in the film, they completely omitted that story arc. It's almost as if, like, they wanted to make it a love story, which it was, and it is a love story, but they took the sinister edge out of it. Like, for example, that's another thing in the manga. Instead of just stealing cyborgs' parts, Hugo's actually stealing their spines, which is much more brutal and much more grisly. And I suppose that makes Hugo a bit less of a sympathetic character, because he's literally going around stealing people's spines. You know, so it's pretty pretty brutal. But even then, in the manga, sorry, not to ruin it for anybody, I should say spoilers, but just conversation here. In the manga, Hugo actually his hand is not his hand. He has his older brother's hand that has been surgically amputated onto his. And why does he have his older brother's hand? Well, because his older brother was trying to get to Zolom, and he built a ship, and it was against the law of Iron City to build any flying objects, so hunter warriors came and they killed his brother. And Hugo is really traumatized by that, and one day when he's in the market, he sees his brother's hand being sold, and he begs to buy it. And when he buys it, he offers his own hand in exchange, so he's got his older brother's hand, which is a subplot that's actually really interesting, because it kind of gives more depth as to why Hugo is so determined to try and get to Zolom, because he and his brother used to dream of it, and his brother passed away, so he's the only one carrying that dream, which is why he's so desperate to get to Zolom, which makes him do the things that he's doing in order to try and get there. And as I said, actions lead to consequences, and consequences lead to reactions, and that's why the story is so interesting, I find. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. The manga's got a lot more going on, but they took a lot of that out of the film, sadly. But it's still good, I still enjoy it. So there you have it with Snake Eyes. We're going to try with another figure now. So we've got 30 Rambo, who I've just recently reviewed. Again, as I said, your toy collection should reflect your tastes, and John Rambo is another favourite character of mine. So again, they look great together. Very happy with how they look. You know, two of my favourite film characters there. That's pretty cool. They look really badass, and when I've got them on my display, they do look really good together. So there you have with Rambo. And we'll do another female figure. The only other female figure I've got. This is the Hot Toys Resident Evil Shava Alama. I do love Resident Evil 5 still to this day. And again, you can see they're both female figures, and they do look very good in scale with each other. Shava's a little bit taller, and she's a little bit more feminine. But Alita is also feminine too, but I think because of the width of her shoulders, she looks a little bit more broad across the shoulders than Shava does. But it's still nice. Still very, very nice complementary look to the two of them. I'm going to do one more comparison, but before I do, see, look at these boots on Shava. I've had this figure since 2010, and when I was checking her recently, I'm seeing all this leather starting to crack and peel, so I'm going to have to glue these parts back on if I can, then try and treat it with the lubricant. It's going to be a real repair job, because she's actually supposed to have more belts around her waist, but those are also cracking and peeling, so oh boy, I've got a lot of repair work to do with her. But I do love this figure because I do love the character, and I do love Resident Evil 5 still to this day. Now our final comparison will be with the figure that I reviewed recently. Just let me get Shava stood up correctly. I can lie down for now. So the final comparison will be with Star of the Hour, one of my latest figures I've got, which I've been enjoying. 30 Storm Shadow. And as you can see, they do scale well with each other very nicely. So the only other 1/6 scale figure that I'm actually interested in getting at the moment is the War Story Tifa Lockhart, because that looks really great. If you get the deluxe version, you get her regular costume and also the purple dress that she wears when she's going to the Honeybee Inn. And you know, I've been a fan of Final Fantasy since, well, I started playing with Final Fantasy 7, but you know, I went back and played the earlier ones, what, 4, 5, 6, 7, then I played 8, 9, Tactics, and that's where I kind of stopped with Final Fantasy, because I didn't really play many of the I played up to X. But the funny thing is I've got them, I just haven't played them. But yeah, I did used to love Final Fantasy quite considerably, so getting a Tifa Lockhart figure would be right up my street. So she's someone I've got my eye on, and to be honest, I think that's probably the last 1/6 figure I'll get, because they're just so hard to care for, and they do cost a lot. And I think with my collection, the character has to be someone that I'm really into for me to want to get them at a 1/6 scale. So I think that'll be the end of 1/6 scale collecting for me, unless something does come along the line that catches my eye. But I don't see anything at the moment. I know with a lot of collectors, like for example the Marvel 1/6 figures are really popular, but I'm not really into Marvel too much. But if you're a Marvel collector, then 1/6 scale, I mean, you've got a lot of choices and a lot of characters, but yeah, that's not for me. So what we're going to do is we're going to put on a rotation and we'll give our final thoughts on this figure. Alright, that concludes my review of the Hot Toys Sideshow Collectibles 1/6 scale Alita Battle Angel figure. And in closing, I'll say I've got nothing but love and respect for the people who worked on this figure. Like, you know, from a design point of view, they really did their homework and they've made it as accurate to the movie as possible. And you know, as I showed, I've actually checked it with the, you know, the concept art and everything, and it really is spot on. I wouldn't really have much negative to say about this figure, except for the fact that Hot Toys shafted me with sending me a defective product, and then when I finally found out about it and tried to contact them, they didn't really give two shits and they just fobbed me off. So that is a real big negative for me. Their customer service was absolutely terrible, and it doesn't really inspire me with confidence to spend more money on their products. So yeah, that was a really poor performance on their end, because as I said, I spent good money on this one and I also bought the Prime 1 statue. Neither of those items are cheap, they were very expensive, and they're not a kind of items you just buy like on a whim. You actually have to make quite a financial commitment to do that. So therefore, you're trusting the company to provide you with a product and you're giving them your money to do that. So when they give you a defective product and then they turn around and say to you, oh well, it's your fault that you didn't check it as soon as you got it in the box, that ain't right, man. That ain't right. So rather than kick up a stink with them, I just thought, you know what, man, fuck you, I ain't going to be buying no more of your products. Simple as that. You know, money talks when bullshit walks, so they say. But aside from all that, my love of the character has been very well brought forth in this figure. I look at her and I think of the film and I think of the manga, and I'm really glad to have her in my collection, because as I say, a collector's collection should reflect the taste of the collector, and this definitely reflects mine. So all in all, I'd give the figure a 9 out of 10. It would be a 10 out of 10 if she came with rooted hair and the alternate face with the blood under the eyes. I think those things not being present in this figure kind of makes it feel incomplete, and that's why many people are turning to other sources to try and get these things to complete their figures. You know what I'm saying? So if there wasn't a need for it, people wouldn't be doing that. If there wasn't a demand for it, people wouldn't be producing these extra parts, and people wouldn't be going out there trying to find them. So yeah, I'm going to take 9 and knock it down to an 8, man, because I really feel like she should have had 2 heads, but it is what it is. Other than that, I'm very happy with the figure. I'm glad she's in my collection. I'm just a bit pissed that I had to spend extra money to complete a figure which should have been completed straight away. Would I recommend this figure? If you're an Alita Battle Angel fan, then yeah, I would, because I've noticed that she's going up in value. She's gradually going up in price. So if you don't get her, then if you don't get her now, then you might have to pay a lot more down the line. Alternatively, you could try and cobble together your own Alita by buying a Hot Toys body and by buying a Daft Toys costume and alternate heads. You could cobble together your own Alita, but then you'd be missing out on all the beautiful detailing in this Berserker body, which it really is a work of art to see how faithful it is to the on-screen representation. So this is a worthwhile figure if you're an Alita fan to have in your collection. It would be nice if Hot Toys made the doll version of the Alita, you know, her first body, the white one. That would be very nice. Again, that would be something that might tempt me back to Hot Toys, but I don't see it happening anytime soon. Just like I don't see a sequel to Alita Battle Angel, the movie, happening anytime soon, sadly. So, for those of you who want to know how the story continues, get the manga. At least read the first 3 volumes of the manga, because I think that's quite that's a very good story arc to see how things play out post the events of the film. And then it goes off into other storylines and different story arcs. And you know, with manga you get some good parts, but then you get some filler parts, so it is a bit of a mixed bag. But generally I'd say the first 3 volumes, volume 1, volume 2 and volume 3 of Alita Battle Angel, which are set in Iron City, are really, really good, and really really good stories. So I hope that review has been helpful and interesting. As always, I've got plenty of other reviews currently on my channel, and I'm going to be uploading a lot more to come if all goes well. So once again, thank you for supporting this channel. For those of you who have commented, thank you. I really welcome your comments. I love talking about toys, so it's always nice to hear from other collectors and their different points of view. You know, it's always fun, man. It's always fun. So with that, take care. I hope this review's helped you, and I'll catch you in the next one.